Hey guys, it's Sydney. Welcome back to my Flock and Squawk, and I kind of need a low energy, easy project for this week, and that is going to be making some pillowcases, not pillowcase covers, pillowcases. I'm going to be making some pillowcases, and I am doing the kind that you insert the pillow through the back instead of just a tube. There are plenty of tutorials on how to do pillowcases. This is a little bit more of just a sew with me. And I've been working on a cosplay. It's been a little intense on my mind and my editing, just because I have a lot of footage. I'm probably gonna have to split it out into parts. And it's not the craziest, it's just been a lot of the project because I wanna make sure that it fits perfectly. So I have some 1930s reproduction print fabrics that I think will be super cute as pillowcases. I have various amounts of the fabric, and I'm kind of thinking that I might want to do some ruffles. I have a serger, and apparently it's super easy to do ruffles on them. So yeah, let's just make the pillowcase. I have this one here that I am basing it off of, and it has the center back entry. It is a 20 by 26 inch pillowcase according to this. So I'm going to use 1/2 inch seam allowance, plenty to be safe. And then for the backs, I'm going to do two 20.5 by 15 inch backs, because that'll give us the two halves to overlap in the back. But we are just going to get right into it. So let's press some fabric and cut out our main pieces and then see what I have to work with for ruffles. So I just finished pressing all of my fabrics, and I'm just going to insert here a quick look at all the prints that I'm using. I know that they're very colorful, there's a lot going on, but they sort of just speak to me. I feel like everyone has some fabric in their stash that just speaks to them, and they aren't really sure why exactly, and it just kind of hangs out. So I'm finally going to be putting it to use. I have a smaller workspace, so I have this hot iron, and basically what I do, since I have pets that like to jump up on my workspace and everything, I'm going to be putting this in the bathroom and closing the door. And that is basically the safest spot that you can put a hot iron in our house. So if you are like me, have a small craft space, pets come in, or you just want to make sure that you yourself are not going to be bumping a hot iron, that's what I do and that's what I recommend. So let's just kind of get to cutting out, and yeah, soon we will have some serging to do to figure out how to do this ruffle. I looked in both my manual and in a serger book that I have, so I think that I'm pretty well set to get to that. So hot iron is going away. So I just finished cutting out all of my pieces for the pillowcases, with the exception being the ruffle. And that's because I ran out of fabric for quite a few of the pillowcase ones that I picked, to where one pillowcase especially has two different fabrics on the back. So, you know, not a big deal. And I just pulled out this additional one. So they're all going to have the same ruffle. And I realized also is that I wanted to make like 4 pillowcases. I have 5 fabrics that I cut out for pillowcases, so an extra, a spare. And yeah, this is the fabric that I'm looking at. It's just this nice print, all over design. I was trying to find one that would not be lost by doing a ruffle. So I'm going to use this. I've got quite a bit of it, so I think I'm going to just cut 4-inch strips. So when it's folded in half, that'll be 2 inches, and then seam allowance will take some, so it'll be kind of a little bit of a larger ruffle. I think that'll look really cute, So I'm going to quickly cut out some strips, then I'll meet you over at the serger. So we are here at my serger. I have it right here just out of frame, but I've already gone through, I've pressed, I've sewn all of these into one long strip, and then I sewed just a very scant, about 1/8 inch seam allowance. So that way it is perfectly folded and ready for the serger. So I have my manual right here, and I am going to adjust my serger to hopefully gather correctly. I've never tried this before, so I'm just going to show you my process and trying to figure out how to use this. Basically, I just need to change my differential feed and my stitch width, and this should gather. With differential feed setting at 0.2, stitch along one edge of fabric. Fabric will automatically gather. Adjusting stitch length will vary amount of gathers. So that's what my manual says, and that's what this serging book that I also use as a reference says. So let's just get right to figuring out gathering this strip down for my pillowcases. So on my serger, here are my controls. So it says to set this one to a 2. So that is my 2, and then my length, it says to set to a 5 for the manual, and then it says nothing about this, so I'm going to leave that. So let's try this out. So it took me until the end of it playing with the settings to figure out how to actually get it to ruffle like this. Because there are large sections that are barely, if not no ruffling. So essentially what I missed in the instructions on my actual serger for this, it doesn't mention it in this ABC guide, this other reference that I was using, is the stitch length. So reading through the instructions that came with my serger in its binder, the needle length or tension needs to be adjusted. Not just the length of the stitches, not just the differential, but I needed to make the tension tighter. So I moved it up to a 9, and that's when I got like these actual nice ruffles, like actually for this fabric. When I had it down here, I wasn't playing with that because I didn't realize that it was something that would affect it so much. So I'm gonna go back through and re-sew the sections that aren't really as ruffled to kind of help match this guy, because this is very nicely ruffled. It's like exactly what I was hoping for, and this is as ruffled as it can get on this machine with this type of fabric. Apparently it works better for different fabrics versus others, but yeah, this is what I was hoping for, not barely even touched. So I'm gonna redo that, knowing what I know now. So think about your tension if you are doing this. You might want to adjust the needle tension. I didn't adjust the tension at all for the loopers, just the needle. So I'm gonna try that all over again. Well, not entirely. I'm gonna just re-sew what I have with these settings. I have all the ruffles at the ready, and I went ahead and I serged all of the raw edges for the rest of the pillowcase pieces, and then I sewed over the back sides, folded it over so there won't be any raw edge exposed for where they, meet at the back and the pillow can go in and out. All that's really left to do is to assemble the pillowcases. So it'll be the main front of the pillow, the two backs with a little bit of overlap, and then the ruffle will be sandwiched in between there. I don't know if all of them are going to have the ruffle, like I've said before, just because I didn't measure and I wasn't sure how much it would shrink with the ruffle. So I am just going to start pinning. I have my tops on Judy there, so I'm going to lay that down first, put this with, obviously the ruffle is going to go towards the right side of the fabric, and then the serged part will be on the inside. I'm just going to do a straight seam for sewing all of the pieces together because everything is serged. I don't need to fix the raw edges any more than that. I might end up doing a smaller stitch length just to make sure that it's fully secure, but I can always mend these. I made them, so. And yeah, this ruffle is just so satisfying. I'm very happy that I figured it out. So let's just get to assembling pillowcases. I will give you the overhead so you can really see what I'm doing, but it'll be the same thing for all of them, regardless of ruffle or not. Took about 14 minutes, but I have the first one fully pinned with the ruffle, so I'm going to sew this under my machine, and then I will be back to show you the first pillowcase, and then I'm kind of thinking that I might just sew the rest of them off camera. So yeah, I'll sew this and then we will do kind of wrap up and I'll show you what it looks like at the end. I've finished sewing around the edges. It's the moment of truth. Let's open up this pillowcase and see how it looks. So. Oh, it's looking so cute. It's very simple, but I think the ruffle's adorable. It's got the back with enough of an overlap. I'm gonna grab a pillow and shove it in, and let's see if it's the right size because I used pillowcase that we already have, and how the ruffle looks. Alright, I got a pillow. I'm gonna shove it into this pillowcase and see how it looks. If I did good or not. It does fit. The pillowcase is slightly big, but that's not bad. Oh, it's cute. But yeah. Look at that ruffle. I'm pretty pleased with myself. That's adorable. I feel like the ruffle could be slightly bigger and the pillowcase itself ever so slightly smaller, but not bad for just using a pillowcase we already had as reference. And I added more of a crossover in the back than the original pillowcase, which I think is good because this pillow kind of wants to pop out the back, just with how full it is after some fluffing and getting it into the pillowcase. But oh, I think this is pretty awesome, and obviously you can do a lot with pillowcases of customizing it and whatnot, but the open in the back and just sort of measuring your pillow could work for couch cushions, anything like that. And yeah, so I'm just gonna wrap this video up here. You don't need to see me pin and sew the remaining pillowcases. It's all gonna be the same. Even when I run out of ruffle, it's just going to be pinning the back two pieces with the overlap, sewing around the edge, and then flipping it out. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it was kind of a smaller project. It still took quite a bit of time. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoy some of my other crafty videos, and yeah, I hope you join me again sometime. Comment, like, subscribe, all of that. But thank you so much for watching. Bye!